I'm your host, Jack Remington of the Jack Remington Political Analyst channel. Today's video, I got a couple scribble notes here, not much. I'll stick to the best I can. But this video is for all Kamala Harris voters. I'm speaking to you. I'm still speaking to the general audience, and I hope everybody listens that'll listen. But I'm going to try to reach the Kamala Harris voters, and I'm going to try to spell out what you're voting for or what you're voting against. I made a video, and I'll put the screenshot up here when I do the editing. If Joe Biden kept on his path of destruction of getting rid of the energy in this country, we were the #1 producer under Donald Trump. And the first time in our history, we were the biggest exporter of energy, of fuel, of gas and oil, natural gas and coal and everything else. But the very first day Joe Biden took office, he stopped the Keystone Pipeline, put 55,000 Americans in Wyoming and Colorado and Nebraska and Dakotas out of work overnight, with additional hundreds of thousands within the next week. He put 35,000 Canadian workers the first day. He went on a 3-day tear with executive orders that was prepped by his handlers or the cabal that's running the country. But certainly it's not Joe Biden. That video says if Joe Biden keeps this up and if he wins, which he did, and I also called it, by the way, gas is going to be $8 a gallon. Well, guess what? A year later, it was. I had to pay $8.18 a gallon of gas when my car ran out of gas. When we pushed it to this Shell station here in Ventura County, and I had to pay it. Well, what are you going to do? Push all the way 40 miles home? Really? Well, good luck with that. Next time I run out of gas, I'll come get you. I mean, you can help me push my car. But this video is going to be titled something to the effect. I haven't given the title yet, but it's going to be titled to the effect of, if Kamala wins, you will see $14 a gallon of gas. And I'm going to tell you why you're going to see $14 a gallon of gas, because if Kamala Harris wins, she's going to put the Green New Deal back on steroids 2.0, worse than what you ever thought she was ever going to do. And she's all for it. We got to turn the page to this green energy. Got to turn the page and get rid of all these things about Donald Trump and what he stands for. And she's been bashing Donald Trump because she really has no policies other than the Green New Deal. That was AOC's policy back in the day when she won her first election. So, but if you insist on voting for Kamala Harris because you don't like Donald Trump, I should put this in the video. Elon Musk was supposedly the first one to say this, and he said it on stage, supposedly. I haven't seen it yet, but the guy told me he saw it. Elon Musk, with a microphone in his hand, he says, if you're voting for Kamala Harris because you hate Donald Trump, it's like eating dog shit because you hate broccoli. I mean, I love that. So now people are trying to change the wording around a little bit, soften it up or harden it up, whatever you want to call it. If you insist on voting for Kamala Harris, you are complicit, and this is what you stand for. You stand for this trans shit that's going on, and you stand for this abortion thing. And a lot of female voters, I mean, my wife has been talking to a lot of females, they're all going to vote for Kamala Harris for the one issue, the abortion issue. They want abortion on demand at the 9th month, the 10th month, whatever. They don't care. They want that in their back pocket. They want to go out and party like men do on these clubs, these nightclubs, call them gentlemen's clubs, and they think that, they should be able to do it too because they're equal, right? Remember this horse shit? They're equal. A lot of the women, well, I want a first female president. Some of them even admitted to my wife and said, you know what, I didn't really like Hillary. I'm kind of glad she lost. But you know what? That was a long time ago. And we don't like Trump anyway because mainstream media tells us that Trump is bad, orange man bad. So he must be bad because the TV tells us so. So let's go ahead and vote for Kamala Harris to get a woman in there and see what she can do. So they're disregarding completely what Trump did with keeping inflation at 1.4 in his all 4 years of presidency. People could buy houses at 2% interest. We got to refinance at 2.3. Life was good under Trump. I had more money in my pocket. I was getting job offers in my 60s. Now I'm on the wrong side of my 60s. Forget it. It's over for me. But how about my fellow countrymen? They can't buy a house. Interest rates, what, 8%? How can you afford an 8% prime loan for a house? So you were complicit for putting Kamala Harris in there. And she goes, well, I'm going to give $25,000 for first-time home buyers. Well, this is the reminiscent of the housing crisis when Obama was president. Remember that? Okay, people were getting put in these houses and they couldn't afford them. And the industrial rate went from 6% up to 14, whatever the hell it was. They got put out of their homes, didn't they? Remember that? I remember that. I saw plenty of that right here in California. A lot of them did this right here in California. If you're going to vote for Kamala Harris, you're also voting for her value-added tax. It's very similar to this tax that I remember my relatives and friends in Virginia had to pay until they deemed unconstitutional. They had to pay a tax every year based on what their assets were, like their car, their refrigerator, their home, their motorboat. If they had anything of any luxury at all, But they didn't call it luxury tax. They just called it added value tax, something to that effect. People got tired, and it went all the way to the Supreme Court. People on her staff that Virginia's right next to the White House, right? So you got to have people live in Virginia, Northern Virginia, which is now a blue state. When I was growing up, it was a red state. And they put this idea in their head, hey, red state people that got houses and got property, let's go ahead and tax them this way. I mean, there's no way Kamala Harris came up with that on her own. So she listened to one of these 25 or 30-year-old female influencers on YouTube or Instagram or whatever, and she bought it. So you were complicit with the cartels coming over, and the cartels are openly admitting that they're making money off human trafficking and they're making money off the fentanyl. Okay, you're okay with that? Okay, and that's linking to the border crisis, but I'm saving the border crisis for last. If you vote for Kamala Harris, you're okay with high inflation? Gas will get to $14 a gallon or higher, because she's going to put the Green New Deal on steroids 2.0. You watch, it's coming. Try to control what you drive, control what stoves you can wear, toasters, everything. They want to control every aspect of your life, just like the Soviet Union, USSR from 1958, perestroika under Ronald Reagan. They got rid of some of that, but Russia's still a communist country. They're trained and raised with the Marxism by the time they're little. And Karl Marx did say, you give me your children, I'll give you a nation. That's the only thing he was right on. The job losses, I'll put the screenshot up here. California's getting hit hard. It's Silicon Valley. Every business owner I talk to, they're struggling. They're in trouble. And they're not making any money. And now companies are cooking the books, and you'll be starting to see, stock exchange action, the CBOE, the Chicago Board of Trade action, the people, they see when they get caught on their audits. Oh, yeah, well, we cook the books. I mean, that's a common practice when recession's on the way. And if I can remember, I'll put why all this is linked to this election. So I started the timer. So when the timer goes off, I'll stop this video, because people complain, especially on my football channel, they complain about the long videos, because I can talk all day about this, because this is that important. The lowest home ownership, Santa Barbara County, the next county up from where I'm living, since they've been keeping records like in late 1880s and 1890s, since the Great Depression, they have had the lowest home ownership transfer ever. Number one, the rates are too high, and people don't want to spend that kind of money just on interest payments for getting a new home. Virtually no permits for building in Santa Barbara County. There's just no movement. It's all money tight. It's tight money. And it's very similar to the 1980 election. If I got time, I'll put that on here. If you vote for Kamala Harris, you are okay with the ingredients being made to somehow trick Zelensky of Ukraine to buddy up to NATO and have NATO put their missiles there. Well, Russia's, like Kamala Harris said, Russia's a big country, and the big country invaded a little country, and that's not right. What Kamala Harris and Joe Biden are not telling you, or the Democrat Party and their supporters, and some independents, and the Rhino Republicans are not telling you, is that Russia is doing what we did in 1961 when John F. Kennedy, the last great Democratic president this country ever had, president number 35, and I was alive when he was shot. I was 7 years old. I'll never forget it. JFK said, hey, you can't put those missiles in Cuba. Cuba, it's 85 miles from the Keys, 90 miles from Miami. It's less than 100 miles. They could launch a missile from Cuba and it would strike the United States in like 2 minutes. Or less. The rocket's not slow. They travel pretty fast. It's the distance. If they can cut the distance, in which they did, they cut the distance down to nothing. We were in a grave threat. And so it was a big showdown between old man Khrushchev and the old guard. And he was, by the way, he was from Ukraine as well. Most of you probably didn't know that. Khrushchev, and he goes, you look across the table. We are a young nation. And John F. Kennedy said, no, you look across the table and we're the young nation. And Khrushchev was flummoxed. When they had this Camp David, and I used to live right behind Camp David in Thurmont, Maryland, JFK stopped Nikita Khrushchev from putting the missiles in Cuba. So now Russia's doing the same thing, but to us, or NATO, all the European nations that belong to NATO. If you're Russia, do you want the missiles at your doorstep? No. And now you're going to call me a Russian stooge. You're going to call me a Putin puppet like you do Donald Trump. That's not the case. I think Putin is a bad man, and so does Donald Trump. Donald Trump never released sanctions against Russia all the 4 years he was president, and Putin kept begging him, and Trump said no. Trump has a way with these leaders, and he got his way almost all the time. And Trump's history, he got Kim Jong-un to stop firing the rockets over Japan, which is our ally, and over Guam, which is U.S. territory, and other territories coming. Come on. And what happened when Trump got removed from office or he lost the election? He started firing rockets again. So you can say what you want. And your Jimmy Carter that you keep pimping, he was a great man. He turned 100. I like Jimmy Carter too. But he was a horrible president. He couldn't shine Ronald Reagan's shoes, and it showed. The same ingredients from Jimmy Carter's mishaps are just like today. The Democrat president ran up the inflation to the sky high. No one could get a house. The prime rate was 21%. I couldn't buy a home at the time. I had to wait till Reagan got into power for me to buy my first house, which was 1981, by the way. Jimmy Carter this, Jimmy Carter that. Well, Kamala Harris is not telling you about Jimmy Carter, your beloved Jimmy Carter, and you hate Donald Trump so much. But Jimmy Carter actually nominated Donald Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize when he got Kim Jong-un to stop firing his missiles over Guam and Japan. And they got rid of Carter. You didn't hear anything about him for 2 years. They put him in his corner and told him to shut up. But Jimmy Carter, like the true Democrat he is, he forgave him. He understands, well, there's a lot of animosity in this country, but I'm still a Democrat. He was 100 years old. His grandson filled out the ballot for him by permission. Got permission to fill it out. They're living in Georgia. That's where he's from. And he voted for Kamala Harris. He's bragging about it. I'm not knocking Jimmy Carter at all. It's in his DNA, and that's how he rose to power. He couldn't have done it in the Republican Party, and that's why a lot of animosity today is because they can't make it in the Republican Party. They can't make it in the meritocratic system. They can't make it in the capitalist society, so they join the other team. You're the team I'm talking to, Team Blue. They vote blue no matter who. You keep pimping this Ukraine war. We're what, $300 billion that we've given this country now, and there's people in this country, vets in the streets, homeless in their country. That money could be used here, and that's where I'm standing for that. But if you want to vote for Kamala Harris, that's what you're voting for. You're voting to give our money, my tax money. My wife looks like a demon. I've never met a hardworking woman than my wife. She should be applied for sainthood, this woman, because she puts up with me and other reasons. And she's the most honest person you're ever going to meet. And she doesn't like politics, because it's divisive. And that's not her nature. She's a kind person. And politics has turned divisive because so much is at stake in the direction of this country. If you vote for Kamala Harris, you're okay with China surrounding Taiwan with their warships, and they're waiting for the right moment to just seize it. Okay, and there goes our semiconductor industry. And if you think prices are high now, if Kamala Harris wins, you won't be able to afford anything. You're okay with the country of Venezuela, and Trump was right about this again. They emptied their prisons. That's their number one prison in Caracas, Venezuela. Some of them got put on cruise ships, and some of them got flown first class at the biggest airlines America has. And they've been flown all over. They've been flown to 42 states in this country, so they say. And they just burned down another place in Colorado that they keep like this Governor Polis, this gay, fat, overweight piece of shit Governor Polis. Oh, that's not true. We hear through ham radio reports and people that are willing to get on YouTube for to get taken off, or Instagram for to get taken off, and Facebook. Yeah, they've taken over these apartment complexes. They're running criminal activity out of them, and the police were told to stand down by the governor. Why do I believe that? But I guess you don't believe it if you vote for Kamala Harris. So you're okay with that. If you vote for Kamala Harris, you're complicit in this. But Colorado turned blue a long time ago. People in my state, California, the lefties left here because they got tired of paying high taxes. They weren't leaving like, I'm going to leave. I'm leaving because I can't stand it here. I want to live in a red state. They didn't care. They were just trying to evade the high taxes. They take their voting habits with them. And they don't understand why the state that they just moved to gets ruined like California. It's lacking some brain power there somewhere. Something's going off in their brains. So if you're a Kamala Harris voter, you're also okay with the Iran-Israel war. Okay, and you're secretly rooting for Iran. Okay, look at how our enemies talk about our American elections. Okay, 2012, they all wanted Barack Obama to defeat Mitt Romney. Iran did. Okay, your enemies, whoever they root for, that's the enemy of America. And I don't need to tell you about Obama, do I? Of course, he's the main headmaster behind the scenes, as far as I'm concerned. He's the biggest cabal leader they got running this country. So if Kamala Harris gets this, if she wins, you were complicit with Obama getting his fourth term, aren't you? You're okay with Kamala Harris's husband, Doug Emhoff, smacking the hell out of that lady at the Cannes Film Festival in France. Hit her so hard she spun around in a circle, and the taxi cab driver had to catch her before she could fall to the ground. She catches her breath in a couple of seconds. She tried to hit him back, and he's 6'2", and all of 240 some pounds. This is not a small man. She goes to hit him, and he grabbed both her arms and twisted her around like a pretzel. And then people started yelling at him, and he let go. And she just broke it off with him off right away. He makes her sign an $80,000 non-disclosure agreement that she can never talk about it. But she's so mad now that he might be sitting in the White House that she decides she's going to come forward, and she said, "The hell with your $80,000, I'll make payments." So that's where we're at with that. If you vote for Kamala Harris, you're okay with her husband, Doug Emhoff. You're also okay with Kamala Harris's husband, Doug Emhoff, impregnating the nanny and then harassing her so much that she has a miscarriage. But that's okay, but you like abortion anyway, right? So if you vote for Kamala Harris, I mean, you're complicit with this abortion shit. Okay, which should never be discussed in public with anybody outside of your own bedroom doors and your doctor. It should never be discussed anywhere. How it got into politics, the Marxists deliberately put it in there because it makes women think that we're taking away their rights. So they're going to naturally rise up. I'm not blaming women necessarily when I'm saying this, but I'm blaming you, the Kamala Harris voters. If you put her in the White House, you're complicit with how they're treating women. And you think they're helping women? They hate women, let me tell you. And Kamala Harris is a woman, but she hates herself too. I gotta wrap this up. The alarm's going off. Okay. I gotta go. Vote for your country. Vote for your grandchildren. Thank you. Have a good day.